Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto. Today we're going to talk about how there is a warranty no one understands. The warranty no one understands. I did a video recently on the bill of sale, and I said that putting on there as is when you're simply an individual is kind of pointless because it's not necessary and doesn't actually accomplish anything. And I had several people say, "Well, Steve, I'd like to do that just to remind people they're buying the car as is." And I said, "Well, if that's the case, that's great. Just understand you're not actually doing anything legally, but I guess if you feel better, go ahead and do that." But I had a guy write me and he said, "Well, Steve," he goes, in my state, we have to do that so we don't make any warranties when we sell the car." And I wrote him back and said, "What state are you in? I'd like to look that up." And he goes, "You're the reason people hate attorneys." And I said, "Well, but what state are you in? I want to look up the law that you say exists." And he goes, "Do you see, this is why people hate attorneys." And he wouldn't tell me why people hate attorneys other than just someone asked him what state he was referring to, and he said, "In my state." I'm very clear. I tell you, my law that I talk about is the state of Michigan. A lot of what I talk about might apply in other states, but my basis of understanding is the state of Michigan. So I talk about Michigan laws, and I explain how it might apply in your state. So if someone says, "Well, in my state," I'd like to look it up. I'd like to learn these things if it actually is true, but it's not. That's why people get frustrated and annoyed and don't answer questions, because they know they're wrong. So the warranty no one understands is the implied warranty of merchantability and how it does not apply to non-merchants. Are you a merchant? No, it doesn't apply to you. So here's what I'm getting at. Most states in America follow the Uniform Commercial Code. Article 2 governs sales. So in Michigan, it's 440 point, but in other states, it might be 2 dash or whatever, but 440.2314. The implied warranty, merchantability, course of dealing, usage of trade. Unless excluded or modified, a warranty that the goods shall be merchantable is implied in a contract for their sale if the seller is a merchant with respect to goods of the kind. I'll break that down in a moment. Goods to be merchantable must be at least such as are fit for the ordinary purposes for which such goods are used. Now, there are actually 6 kinds of merchantability, but the most common one is simply that the thing will do what you expect it to do. Day before the 4th of July, my refrigerator died. I ran to a local appliance store where I know the owner, and I said, "I need a refrigerator." And he goes, what's the space look like? And I had the dimensions. I gave him the dimensions. He goes, "Right here." He shows me a refrigerator. I go, "Boom, can I have this afternoon?" He goes, "Yes." That's why I like the local appliance guy. I run home, clear the space, boom, the guy brings the refrigerator, installs it. Not once did I ask anyone, will this keep my food cold? Will the freezer keep it even colder than the refrigerator side? Never asked that question. Plugged it in. If it hadn't worked, I could have said, "Hey, thing's not working. I want my money back, or I want you to fix it." And I'd be well within my rights because that's what you expect that to do. They are fit for the ordinary purposes for which such goods are used. A refrigerator will keep your food cold. A lawnmower will cut your grass. A weed whacker will whack your weeds. And an automobile is safe and reliable transportation. That's what a merchantable automobile is. But for goods to be merchantable, you must be dealing with a merchant. I'm going to keep emphasizing this for a point. Merchantability, root word, merchant. A warranty that the goods shall be merchantable is implied in a contract for their sale if the seller is a merchant with respect to goods of that kind. If I'd gone to a garage sale at the end of my street and bought a used refrigerator, brought it home and it didn't work, I couldn't go back to the guy who sold me and say, "Dude, it doesn't keep my food cold." Implied warranty merchantability. If the guy was smart, he'd go, "I'm just an individual. I'm not a merchant with respect to goods of the kind. I don't sell refrigerators for a living. I'm just selling you a used refrigerator. Who expects a used refrigerator at a garage sale to come with a warranty? Are you stupid?" A warranty the goods shall be merchantable is implied in a contract for their sale if the seller is a merchant with respect to goods of the kind. An automobile dealer is a merchant with respect to goods of the kind being automobiles. So if a car dealer sells you a car and does not disclaim the implied warranty merchantability, it comes with an implied warranty merchantability. The car is safe and reliable transportation. The problem where all this falls apart, of course, is the first clause that says, "unless excluded or modified." And it says, see section 2316. Section 2316 says specifically that merchants can disclaim the implied warranty merchantability if they want to, so long as they disclose that to the buyer in an explicit way, and they have a way of doing it. But generally speaking, they have to let you know. So in Michigan, most used cars from dealers are sold as is. They put a big disclaimer on the purchase agreement, and there's also the buyer's guide in the window that says this vehicle is being sold as is. It's hard for anyone to say they didn't know they were buying a used car as is in Michigan, buying it from a dealer, because there's all these disclaimers all over the place that you could not miss. When people call me and say, Steve, I bought a defective used car, the first thing I ask is, did you buy it as is? Most people immediately say yes, because they know. They know. I've had very few people say, I have no idea, don't know. So did you see a buyer's guide? What's that? It's a piece of paper that says buyer's guide on it. They go, oh, yeah. Do you see where it says as is, no warranty? Is that box checked? Yes. Okay, you have no warranty of merchantability. So the implied warranty of merchantability is what we're talking about here. So if somebody comes to you and says, I want to buy your used car. It's parked at the end of your driveway, $5,000, your best offer. I'll give you $5,000 for it. I hand you $5,000, you sign the title over to them, you're going to live dangerously and not go to the Secretary of State's office like you ought to. And they drive down the street, and you can see this happening, by the way. As they're driving down the street, all four wheels fall off comically, the engine explodes, the transmission grenades, the differential disintegrates like the explosion on Defender. For those of you who know what that is, that's a beautiful thing, even though it's tragic. And they come walking back, and their hair is smoking comically, and they say, the car just blew up. I want my money back. And you say, why? I didn't make you any warranties. And they say, well, I just want my money back. But the point is that you as an individual are not a merchant with respect to goods of the kind. There's no implied warranty merchantability. So unless you foolishly said, oh, by the way, I will warrant this car for 90 days or 30,000 miles, whichever comes first. No one does that. Why would you do that? Don't do that. Unless you do something stupid like that, there's no warranty in that car. Now, here's the thing. I've had people say, but Steve, what's to keep them from lying and say I made a warranty? I don't know. I mean, really? That's what this is all about? Most people would never say, yeah, this guy said he'd give me 3 years, 36,000 miles in the car. And in fact, I've never even heard that argument being made, that someone made a warranty. But the only thing I ever have heard is I've heard people say, well, yeah, but the guy told me the car runs well, or runs great, or whatever. Those kind of statements. The problem is those aren't warranties, and that's not what as is does. When you buy a car as is, or you give an as is disclaimer, all it does is it disclaims the implied warranty and merchantability. So if you're worried about express warranties and you say, but I sold it to them as is, the as is doesn't do anything about the express warranties. You can't disclaim an express warranty. It doesn't make any sense. I made you a warranty, now I disclaim it. The implied warranty merchantability arises by operation of law. The circumstances of the situation create that warranty unless disclaimed. So the point is that the default position is an implied warranty merchantability when buying from a merchant. But when someone's buying from an individual, you, okay, they're buying a car from you, there's no implied warranty merchantability. So there's nothing to disclaim. And I've had people say, well, Steve, I want to disclaim other stuff, though. What other stuff? And by the way, let's talk express warranties, because this ties in. 440.2313, the section right before the implied warranties. Express warranties by the seller are created as follows. An affirmation of fact or promise made by the seller to the buyer which relates to the goods and become part of the basis of the bargain. A description of the goods or a sample of the goods are the three ways that you can create affirmation of fact, description, or sample. I'm not going to get into the other two because they don't matter. An affirmation of fact or a promise made by the seller. If you foolishly said, yeah, drive it for 3 months. If you don't like it, bring it back. Okay, that would be foolishly a warranty because it's a promise made by you. Affirmation of fact. The car runs good. That's not an affirmation of fact. You know why? The UCC says it's not. It is not necessary to the creation of an express warranty that the seller use formal words such as warrant or guarantee, but an affirmation merely of the value of the goods or a statement purporting to be merely the seller's opinion or commendation of the goods does not create a warranty. This even applies to used car salesmen standing on a used car lot telling you this is a great car. This car runs well. This price is good. It's a very good price. The price could be horrible and the car might not even run. And you say, but Steve, those statements are false. They're the guy's opinion. They're dumb opinions. They're wrong opinions. We've all known people who've had bad opinions before, but it doesn't mean they're false. And even if they were, says right here, it doesn't matter. Okay? So the idea that you need to sell a car as is to get rid of the warranties, Well, the implied warranty merchantability doesn't exist if you're an individual, and the other warranties aren't there unless you're stupid and made a warranty. And if you did, you can't disclaim it anyways. You cannot make a warranty to somebody, express a warranty, and then disclaim it. And I'll give you an example. Let's suppose I wanted to sell you a vehicle, but I wasn't sure I had good title to it. So I'm going to sell you the vehicle, and if I sell you a vehicle, I'm expressing to you that I own it. It's called a warranty of title. So I'm going to sell you the vehicle, but I'm going to have you sign a thing saying no warranties expressed or implied. Okay? Now, you go to court later and say, he sold me a car that was stolen. He didn't have the title, so he had no warranty of title. So when he gave me the warranty of title, he breached it. And I go into the court and say, Your Honor, I got him to sign a disclaimer. I disclaimed that warranty. I disclaimed all warranties expressed or implied. A judge is going to go, wait, you think in the same transaction that you can express a warranty and disclaim the exact same warranty? You can't do that. Number one, the UCC says you can't. But number two, what would the logic of that be? Why did you make the warranty if you had no intention of keeping it? Okay, but you can't. So the point is there's some things you can't disclaim, some things you don't need to disclaim, and it's all a fool's errand anyways. Again, if you want to have someone sign a disclaimer because it makes you feel better, I guess go ahead and do it. But you're not accomplishing anything. I had several people say, but Steve, there are states where the seller assures the buyer that the car will pass an inspection. And if the car doesn't pass inspection, then the seller gets in trouble. So, okay, does the disclaimer, selling the car as is, get around that? No. Then why are you bringing it up? Okay, people love to just say, well, I don't have something on point here, so I got something else over here. Can we talk on point for just a minute? So again, the warranty no one understands is the one that doesn't exist. If you are an individual selling a car, there's no implied warranty merchantability. There's no need to disclaim it because it doesn't exist. And so selling the car as is, which disclaims the implied warranty merchantability, doesn't do anything. It's kind of like if you want me to, and by the way, I'll do this. If you're willing to spend $1,000, I will come to your house anywhere in North America and I will expunge your house of ghosts. So that I will be in your house about 10 minutes. You're going to hand me $1,000 and I'm going to leave and your house will no longer have any ghosts. Doesn't have any now. But if you want to spend $1,000 and pay me to come into your house and expunge it of ghosts, I'll take your money. But the point is, it's illusory, okay? Ghosts don't exist. So the implied warranty merchantability doesn't exist if you're an individual. So to disclaim it, you're disclaiming something that doesn't exist. The same way I'm going to come into your house and rid it of things that don't exist. But I've digressed. And I probably ticked off some people who believe in ghosts. Sorry about that. But again, if you're selling a used car and you're an individual, there's no need to sell it as is, and selling it as is accomplishes nothing. Unless it makes you feel better, in which case it's a placebo. If the placebo makes you feel better, take them. Go right ahead. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.